We had a flood here this morning. Woke up to a call that the Chabad, Zichron Kadeshim, there's a great flood going on. Lots of rain, and something from the roof happened that brought down lots of rain inside Chabad. Like lots of rain. Almost like the roof was open. And oh my gosh, and it's coming from many different places. So immediately I was called the insurance to get someone over. Organize things so things shouldn't get ruined. And gave my class in the midst of everything. The early morning class. I gave it, and then went to daven. And as we started davening, it all stopped. Miraculously. Later on, I called the roofer, and he said, well, probably what happened was the pressure was so great, there must have been a plugged drain. And now it cleared the drain and everything. Literally when we started our prayers. Unreal. How do you react when, imagine in your own home, it's gushing in from the roof? So you panic. You're concerned. Oy, oy, oy. So, I definitely, had some kind of concern, but I recognized that this is from heaven. Because nothing that happens on earth is not from heaven. It's coming from heaven, and just respond the way you need to respond. Deal with it the way you need to deal with it. So I did that. Didn't want to give up on any of the teachings. So I still gave the class. And here I'm late right now because also dealing with some of the things, the aftermath. But recognize that everything is from heaven, orchestrated as such. The only question is how to deal with it. So my apologies, I'm late. Welcome to Tanya today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you for Chabad Zichron Kadeshim. Where lots of rain. Lots of rain came into the Chabad, but it's a privilege and pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We continue in the sixth chapter speaking, giving us an awareness of Le'umazeh, the other side, the non-holy side of our being. That is the animal soul, we call it, Nefesh Bahamis, that is resides in the blood. The blood gives life. It gives life to the body, the animal soul. What is it about the animal soul that makes it what we call an animal soul, or call it a human soul, if you will, as opposed to a divine soul? So you might think that, the animal soul is only when you're really, acting out in an evil way. It's not the case. There's only two possibilities in life. Either something is directed towards God, or it's not. So if there's any words or any thoughts that are not directed to God, to His will, to His service, they are garments. Garments are self-expression, right? Thought, speech, and action that are of the animal soul. So, in other words, when it was pouring rain because of something with the roof that we have a problem with into the Chabad house this morning, I recognize that this is coming from heaven. Everything only comes from heaven. So the thought that I have is heavenly. That it's from heaven. The words were, okay, God is, giving it on the stones, and as we say, it should be an atonement, and it should be only on our things and not on us, any negativity that has to come. Whereas, what would be the expression of the animal soul? Why me? You would think. And you might say, "Oi, this is too much." Well, if it's coming from God, then it's meant for you, and it's not too much, and you got to deal with it. That would be an expression of the godly soul. The point being over here is there's only two types of vitality, either direct from God or what we call from Sitzer Acher. Direct from God means directly from Him, because we're nullified to Him, so therefore we're getting it directly from His holiness. Or we're not getting it directly from Him. Everything's from Him, because there are two sources of life, not two sources of vitality. There's only one source, God. But if it's something that's not directed towards Him, right? It's self-directed in thought, speech, and action. Then the vitality that I'm getting is from Sitzer Acher, which means literally the other side, meaning the other side that's not holy. Because holiness can only get with that which is an extension of the divine. So when we're thinking in a holy way, speaking in a holy way, and doing it in a holy way, well, then we're getting directly from God. Right? Now, in other words, that which is surrendered totally to God. When is something surrendered totally to God? Well, time of martyrdom, sanctifying God's name, as many a Jew have done. Just heard a story of someone who's converting to Judaism, and he's fighting in Gaza, and he's completely observant. And he went to the rabbinic court and said, "Please convert me immediately." And says, "Why? Wait till the process. Wait till the war is over." He says, "No, because if I get killed, I'm going to die as a Jew." Now there's martyrdom. Interesting. Now he wants complete Jew surrender. Interesting. So even if one individual, and we're many individuals now, but even if one individual is sitting and learning Torah, the divine presence is what's giving life to that individual. Right? In other words, right now, your thoughts are in Tanya. Your words, my words are in Tanya. What does that mean? It means I'm getting vitality to think and to speak. Where does the vitality come from? Not from me. I don't create my own life. I don't create my own vitality. It comes from God. Question's where from God. So if it's an expression of the divine soul, so then we're getting it direct from God. Metaphorically, like a mother that gives food to children, to her children. She's not giving food, she's giving love. She's giving life. That's, in a piece of, in breakfast, whatever it is that she's giving. It's embodied in the food. She's giving life, she's giving love. So that's what God does when we're speaking words of Torah as we're doing now. But if it's not directed towards God, the conversation, the thoughts, the actions, right? So I pick up my hand, right, to stretch out and give charity. That vitality I'm getting is directly from God, from His holiness, from a connectivity. But if I raise my hand, maybe to do harm to somebody, but not even to do harm, just, to to, I don't know, like what I did because of the flood. I brought buckets and, that the rain should fall into the buckets, Well, that was an activity. Where was the vitality coming from? I can't say that was completely divine. That was somewhat self-serving. I don't want my Chabad house to go underwater, right? So the vitality is coming from Klippa, from the other side. Now, maybe it was, forget about what the intent. Let's just imagine that you're doing it for the intent of self-preservation. So here it's preservation of the synagogue, but I'm doing it for my own good. Let's take my home better. This happened in the synagogue, but I'm just giving this as by way of example. You now have you're not doing anything bad, right? Not like raising your hand to go, God forbid, hit somebody, and then the vitality is coming from complete unclean place, completely, the opposite of holiness. And now we have two levels that we'll see, which we're going to deal with. But right now, the very fact that it's not unto God, that it's for self, doesn't mean we're a horrible person. That's not the point. The point is, where's that vitality coming from? You're getting the strength to do that. It's coming from Klippa, the other side. It's not direct, unless it's you did it directly for the sake of God. Right? So I'm giving an example where it's not done for that. Right? So that vitality in that moment is coming from Klippa. Meaning that God has contracted on the light. It's not direct from Him. And therefore it's an indirect form of vitality that we get from Him in a way that we're separate from Him. Again, I'm giving this by way of example that I did or someone does for their own self-preservation, right? So your house is being, there's a leak in the roof, and you're just doing a simple thing, putting a bucket there to do that. Well, the vitality to do that is coming from God. But if it's not directed towards Him, for His sake, nullified to Him, then it will be coming from Klippa. Which is, hey, that's human, but it's not divine. It's not the divine soul expressing itself. Now, how could you do that as a divine soul expressing itself? Yeah, for sure you could. That you're motivated, not for your own benefit, but you're motivated for the benefit of God. Now, how could that be? Well, okay, that's a discussion, that we need to have. But that's not the point. Right? The point I just want to bring out is by way of example of what it means that we do something that we are doing it for God, for surrender to God, even a simple act. We're going to deal more about that, right, in forthcoming classes, but that's the basic idea. There's two possibilities. Either it's a surrender to God, and therefore, where's that? Right now, we are surrendered to God, to His will and wisdom, to learn it, to understand it, because that's what God wants from us and needs from us. When we do that, then we're getting direct vitality from Him. Now, if we're learning right now and it's for self-preservation is, I need this because it just makes me feel, I need my day to go well. So then it's not directed towards God. It's not a surrender. It is a spiritual self-preservation, which, by the way, that's a very lofty, but it's not divine. Not divine. And therefore the vitality that we're getting to be able to do what we're doing is not coming from the divine. Now, be careful, don't go and start looking inside yourself. Oh, am I doing this for God? Am I doing this for self-preservation? Don't do that. Just know the truth and try to live more that way. Like did I today, the buckets, what was my motivation? Did I do it for God, or did I do it like, for self-directed reasons? I don't know, and I'm not going to look into that really. I know what, the loftier and higher ideal is, and I need to be just aware of that. That's all. All right, folks. We are going to finish our campaign, our matching campaign this evening. Many of you have been very kind and helped. Many of you have not had the opportunity yet to go on to charity.com/CZK, Chabad Zichron Kadeshim. Whoever didn't get that chance and wants to help, please do. Even a small amount. First of all, even if you give a small amount, folks, it shows that, whatever, it shows. And some of you have gone the extra mile, and that's really amazing, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much. In any case, we will, God willing, finish across our goal, and we'll do that because everybody is going to chip in and help out. So please, put on social media, help out, make a difference. Every dollar you give is matched, so it's double. That's amazing. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you for Chabad Zichron Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege, a pleasure to share with you, Tanya. Have an amazing, great day.